Gospel according to St. Luke, the 12th chapter. Glory to you, O Lord. He said to his disciples, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap. They have neither storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them. Of how much more value are you than the birds? And can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your span of life? If then you are not able to do so small a thing as that, why do you worry about the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not clothed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, you of little faith? And do not keep striving for what you are to eat, what you are to drink, and do not keep worrying. For it is the nations of the world strive after these things, and your Father knows you need them. Instead, strive for his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. Do not be afraid, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions, give alms, make purses for yourselves that do not wear out, an unfailing treasure in heaven, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Please be seated. Lord, when did we see you hungry and give you something to eat, or thirsty and give you something to drink? This is the third week we've talked about hunger. We started off talking about the impact it had on children and their ability to grow and learn and become successful or productive or grow to be healthy. We talked last week about why it is that we are concerned about hunger, why we talk about social issues, and why we react and respond to social issues. But I wonder if we realize how far-reaching is the impact of our efforts on the lives of people who are served by our giving. We do feed a lot of people in a lot of ways, and when I say we, I'm speaking corporately of both Messiah and Lutheran Church of Concord. We send home backpacks at the end of the week during the school year, and next year have every intention of growing and expanding that ministry. We have church picnics or church dinners, and we feed anybody who walks in. It doesn't matter if they're a member or someone we know or not. After God's work, our hands, every year we invite the people we've served back to a hot dog and corn roast. On the first Saturday of the month, we find people downstairs serving soup or making sandwiches or sitting at a table sharing in conversation with our guests at Super Saturday. And heavens knows when anybody is grieving or recuperating or just had a baby. In someone's kitchen, the casserole dishes are flying and the cakes are being made. These are things that we do well in this place, feeding people. But there are other ways that we serve God and feed God's people, and we don't really think about how broad the impact is. Now, last week we announced that over $2,000 was raised for ELCA World Hunger by our youth. And that money goes to so many places, as will the thousands of dollars collected by youth groups across our country when all of those offerings are brought in together in Houston this week. The ELCA World Hunger Appeal helps to feed people and deal with overlapping social issues on a global scale. And so I wanted to share with you today 3 of the hundreds of stories that could be shared. 120 school children every single morning fill the dining hall at the Help the Children Association. They come into that dining hall to get a warm breakfast. The children all have different stories, but they all are from an area of extreme poverty in Peru. And this school has been able to help change the lives of hundreds of children and their families for more than a decade. They receive a primary education, meals, snacks, training in skills that they can use to support themselves and their families into the future. One of the teachers interviewed about this school said, "We're a family. We are a family who tries to equip our children to be able to survive and succeed in life, hoping to build a solid foundation upon which they can grow." And these are our dollars at work through the ELCA. Or a little bit closer to home, in Boise, Idaho, the Boise Rescue Mission Ministry. Meals are certainly provided, but that's just the first step, the first glimmer of hope that people get when they walk in the door. And then they're able to address root causes of homelessness and help individuals to break the cycle and transition to independent living. The president of the corporation does not see homelessness as an isolated issue, so he insists on a holistic approach addressing employment or barriers to employment, mental illness, spiritual thirst. There are 5 facilities in southwest Idaho in this one ministry that offers meals and emergency services like shelter, clothing, employment programs, mental health services, children's programs, drug and alcohol addiction recovery, and meals alone, they serve over 300,000 a year. Your World Hunger Dollars at work. Or farther from home, Amira was a pregnant woman, pregnant with twins when she fled Syria. She had 2 other children and 2 female relatives with her. Her husband had already fled and was in Germany. And she made the dangerous trek from her war-torn country to Europe, hoping to join with him. But the family had only made it as far as Serbia when she went into premature labor and had to be hospitalized. Like many Syrian refugees, Amira and her family were pressured to keep moving, but the Balkan route through Hungary was closed. And so many asylum seekers and refugees were forced to remain in Serbia far longer than they'd planned. The increase in refugees in Serbia created a crisis, both for the refugees like Amira and her family, as well as for the Serbian communities that were welcoming this massive influx of international migrants. So the Asylum Protection Center, which is an organization accompanying both refugees and residents in Serbia, provided psychological care for her, helping her to learn to care for her babies, and humanitarian aid and legal support both to asylum seekers as well as their hosts. We're an immigrant church, says the director for Middle East, Europe, and North Africa in the ELCA. If we can accompany our partners as they discover ways to offer hospitality in their own places, we're fulfilling our mission. Through the efforts of these individual congregations and together with many more throughout the ELCA, a difference is being made in the lives of God's people. Whether we bring in the bag of peppers to make the salad, or whether we help to pack the backpacks, or whether we put the money in the offering plate to watch the pastor dangle from a zip line, our money goes to helping God's children and being Christ's hands and feet in this world. For just as we do it to the least of these, so we have done it to Christ. Amen.